hip flexor kinetic stretch is a great way to prime your tissues for other hip flexor work that you're gonna do, or it's just a great way to get better connected with your body, specifically in hip extension. So we are going to actively pull ourselves into a stretch for the hip flexors. Then at that end range of motion, we're gonna use those hip flexors to pull us out of the stretch to return back to the start position. That is the gist or the idea behind a kinetic stretch. We are in a half kneeling position. So for most people, this is going to look a little bit different. You may need to come a little bit higher on a different height, like a yoga block. We may need to be even higher than that. It depends on who you are. But what we want to make sure is that we don't have some jutting side to side of our pelvis. Make sure that our hips are relatively even. And we want to make sure that we are in a rib cage and pelvis stacked position. Most people kind of sit with the rib cage in front. We want our belt buckle tucked just a little and our rib cage in line with our pelvis stacked over our knee that is straight. For this exercise, I'm going to demonstrate the left hip flexor kinetic stretch for the position that I'm in. We're going to think about pushing earth behind us as we're coming into a kinetic stretch, right? So we're pushing earth behind us. So we're squeezing that butt, thinking about pushing it behind us as we're leaning forward, but we're maintaining a position where we are tucking and keeping our top of our pelvis connected to our rib cage. So as we're leaning forward, we are not coming into spine compensations because this is a hip exercise, not a spine exercise. So we're staying tucked, we're squeezing our butt, pushing earth behind us, and we are really opening this up. You're gonna take 5 or so seconds to get to your end range of motion before you feel like you're coming out of it. You're gonna pause, then you're gonna drive your knee down and forward. Think about pulling earth towards you to come back up to the start position. So most of the muscles or the leg that's doing the work is all on this leg. We're not really using this leg and we're not just leaning out of it. You can see this looks very similar, but I'm not getting the same stimulus to these muscles. So one last time, stay tucked, find your butt muscles, push earth behind you, open this up over 5 seconds, get to that end range position, feel a nice deep stretch. Now pull earth towards you and pull yourself back to the start position, keeping this connection, and that is going to be your rep. You're gonna repeat for the prescribed amount of time. Typically, I like to do 5 or 10 reps of these to prime those hip flexors, but follow what your program says, and you should feel that as you do this consistently, you can get a little bit deeper on a week-to-week basis.